Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Mario Kart Monday. Let's see how we do today. Hopefully we won't have any connection problems this time. Fingers crossed. What is this? I guess I'll go with that. Oh, okay. That's fine. It's not like I wanted to play or anything. I want to unlock my, what are they, the Cyber Slick wheels? Those are the ones I usually use in the Wii U version. This one. Hi, Red Arrow. Welcome to Mario Kart Monday. I should probably do some battle modes instead of just straight up racing all the time, huh? Might make for some good content. Hey Greta! The only problem is I never actually play the battle modes, so probably end up making a fool of myself. More so than usual anyway. You ready for some Mario Kart, Greta? Oh, I hate this course. Ah! I can never make that shortcut. I don't know why I try. Ah. Oh, rude. Hey! My item! It's cutting right in front of me. Ah! You'll join me in a bit? Cool. Oh, Link, why? Why did you go that way? Meh. That sucked at the end there. I swore I, like, turned left or whatever and Link went right. So, what shall we talk about today, guys? I could talk about the new Spider-Man movie, although there would be spoilers. So if you guys don't want spoilers, then I can talk about something else. Greta, this is your fault somehow. A mushroom? What am I gonna do with that? I know your game, Greta. You don't need to resort to cheap tricks. You're better than that. Ugh. Crap. Besides, I'm not sure what to talk about with anime. Haven't really watched a whole lot that's new. Wow. Clark and I have been watching Little Witch Academia, which I think we discussed at one point. But that's a really cute one. We're not super far in it though. Why are you giving me mushrooms on Rainbow Road? Not helpful. Again? I tried watching the first episode of this one new sports anime. It's called, I can't remember the Japanese version, or the Japanese title, but the English translation is like Aoyama the Clean Freak or something. It's about this, ow. It's about this boy in high school, of course, and wow, thanks. He's an extreme germaphobe, but he's also like a soccer prodigy, and it sort of gets in his way when he's playing because he doesn't want to get dirty. It's kind of funny. I didn't super get into it, but I only watched one episode. So maybe it'll get better. Sure, we can talk about Splatoon 2. I'm excited. On one hand, I am a little disappointed, and I was talking to Clark about this. Unfortunately, he's not here right now, but we were both a little sad that there don't seem to be new ranked modes. It seemed like they added some new updates, like tower control now has checkpoints that you have to stay at, and you can use the little things that are in the solo mode, like those weird things you can swim through, the lines. And also there was something else that I can't remember right now. But they added those, so that's kind of interesting. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a whole new game, so you'd expect they would like, I expected them to at least add 1 or 2 new ranked modes. Because I feel like 5 would be a good number. But, so that was, like, my biggest disappointment. Especially, again, since, like, it's not a update. It's not a DLC. It's a whole new game, so I guess they added Horde mode, but that's not quite the same. Because that's not, like, in ranked, right? That's just a little fun thing you can do with your friends, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, League seems cool. I'll have to learn more about that. I didn't entirely understand what they were talking about, to be honest. Like, I kind of got that it's sort of the new take on private battles, I think, right? But I didn't really get what they were talking about with the timing of it, because it's like, it shows how you do against another team within a specific time frame, right? Something like that? I don't know, I haven't done any, like, more research on it, except for watching the direct, so I don't really know a whole lot about it. I think that's the first time I ever actually used that shortcut. No! Rude. Ow. Ah, I see. That's cool. So how is that different from just, like, doing quad squad or twin squad? Is it just you see your results for that period of time instead of overall? Also, I'm, like, very concerned about why all the characters from the last game are gone or replaced or there but doing something else now. The ranking system? Yeah. Like, I already knew Kelly and Marie are mysteriously gone, and Marie's just recruiting you in the campaign mode. But I didn't expect all the shopkeepers to be gone too. I was like, what happened between games? Did the new idols overthrow the government or something? That would be a plot twist. Speaking of them, I do like the new idols. I think Marina is a cinnamon roll. Whoops. Not sold on Pearl yet. She seems vaguely evil. Like, in both the the video it shows of them doing their concert, I don't know, sometimes her facial expressions just seem... Rude! Her facial expressions just seem a little... evil. I don't know, there's no other word for it. So far her character type seems kind of like a tropey, brat, I guess. But I guess we'll see more when the game comes out. Oop. Well, that sucks. Stupid Rainbow Road. Yeah. Stop giving me mushrooms on Rainbow Road. Come on, game. Yeah, Pearl seems like her archetype is kind of just Lolita brat. And like, so far I like the new characters. I'm just kind of like, what is the story reason why everyone has been replaced except Sheldon? Like, at least we know Spike is okay. He was in like the little Starbucks area writing on his laptop, working on a screenplay. But I'm like, where did everybody else go? You mean when you like zoom in on them and they'll wave at you? Yeah, I tried that with... Yeah, I think that was what I actually took a screenshot of and put on Twitter on one of my posts. Because I did that to see if they would react the same way Callie and Marie do. And Marina was adorable and Pearl just like glared at me. Part of me almost thought it seemed a little bit like Pearl was jealous that Marina was paying attention to me and not her. I guess there's a little bit of shipping material since they're not sisters. I never found out, are Callie and Marie actually sisters, or is that just like their group name? Their idol name? Oops. It's kind of weird though, if you like do any sort of shipping in Splatoon, because they're, I don't know, like, it's really unclear if the idols like Callie and Mari and now Marina and Pearl are also kids, because they look older than the normal Inklings. But it's not really apparent. Oh. Usually better at this match, but now I'm getting distracted. Talking about splatting. Ah. But I liked their banter, or when they announced the Splatfest, and they did their little news thing like Callie and Marie did. And I like their little slogan now. I think it's cute. Ah, crap. I was trying to avoid his fist, and instead fell off. Sweet. That's not too bad. Yeah, I do like it a little better than just Stay Fresh. You don't think they're actually sisters? Yeah, I didn't think it was very clear if they were just called the Squid Sisters or if they were actually Squid Sisters. And I don't know if Nintendo ever actually has said. I'm interested if, Oh yeah? Maybe they're not related then. Maybe they're just like the Weird Sisters. Unless Callie didn't go because she was dead! R.I.P. Callie. We killed her with our Splatfest. I wonder if we're gonna get very much info about Marina's backstory, since she's an Octoling and they're like at war or whatever. I wonder what the lore will be. Ah! Is there really any difference between the Inklings and the Octolings, except like Inklings have their suction cups on the inside of their hair, and the Octolings have it on like the outside? But other than that, I didn't really notice any difference. Oh. Oh. Not sure how I avoided that. No, my mushroom! More tentacles? Oh! Oh, phew. Thanks. I glanced down at chat and I just saw that banana, but luckily that other guy ran into it. Ugh. Rude. Everybody's getting a... Oops. Everyone's getting a freaking bullet bill. I was doing okay in the beginning of this match. That didn't last too long. Aesthetic. They do care a lot about their looks. Gotta get that good fashion. But yeah, despite a couple of disappointments, I'm pretty hyped for the game. I'm interested by some of the new, like, sub-weapons and such. Those will be interesting for strategy and whatnot. And I like the dualies. I like being able to, dodge. Yeah, the umbrella weapon looks really cool. I'm excited to try that out. Oh yeah? I haven't really used the rollers too much. As you probably know from watching Splatter Day Night Live, I pretty much just stick to the in-zap and the bucket. But I might branch out, depending on how I like some of the newer weapons. Ah! Ow. What lap is this? Second lap. Ah! No, my mushrooms! Ah! Crap. Oh yeah. Well, you never know unless you try. I wonder which it shall be. You know, in some of these, it kind of looks like the water park one goes into the rainbow one. Like it sort of just goes to... That'd be an interesting combination. Rainbow Park. But that also sounds like it could be a combination of Rainbow Road and Baby Park. Which is like maybe the worst thing I've ever heard. Yeah. No! That was bad. That sucked. Oops. Ah, man, I got rid of my bullet bill. Well, that sucks. I was doing alright in the beginning. You would play Rainbow Road Baby Park? Would that be like Baby Park but in space? Or would it be Rainbow Road? Well, I don't know what other combination you could do. Oh yeah, you got the headset? Nice. I wonder how the voice chat's gonna work. I do think it's cool that it's gonna automatically only connect you to the people on your team, so even if you have, from what I understand, even if you have 8 people on the same voice chat because you're all in a room together, it'll, once the game starts, it switches so you only talk to people on your team, so that's neat. Yeah, I imagine it would just be Baby Park, but in space, and you can fall off. Which sounds awful. I suppose the other way around would be like Baby Park, but it looks like Rainbow Road. Would be lame. Coin. The best. Crap. No, my star! I needed that. That's a lot of bananas. And everyone just passed me. Great. Close. Good. Not doing so great tonight. Sigh. Yeah, cool. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, it would probably be hard to stream that. You mean like you're not allowed to, or it would be difficult to do? So it would put you at a disadvantage if you did stream it. Since then if the other people were listening and watching your, oh yeah. I mean, you could probably hook it up to the computer somehow. I'm sure there's a way you could finagle it. But, on the other hand, then if you were doing like a private battle or something, or if the other people on your team were somehow watching your stream, that would put you at a disadvantage, since they'd be able to hear your team. This is like the 4th time I've gotten Rainbow Road. Then again, it might not be too bad because there is a delay. Not only that, but I don't know if it seems like it'd be a little difficult to, oops, I was trying to Watch out for those shells. Oop. Oh, that sucks. It seems like it would be difficult to pay attention to your team and the other team as well. Oh, that was close. No! That sucks. And I was doing okay for a while. See, that's what happens when Link doesn't wear his Thunder Helm. Gets struck by lightning and then everyone in the race passes him. Rude! Yeah, that's what you get. Oops. Sigh! Bullet bill, please. It's not a bullet bill. Greta, you didn't get first place. Tisk tisk. I played a little bit of ARMS, not a whole amount. I think it's alright. I like it more than most other fighting games, but that said, I'm not really into fighting games. So, you know. I do like that you can do it with the motion controls. I know it's interesting that it's split kind of 50-50 between people using traditional controller and motion controls. And the statistic is true with Clark and I, because he prefers the controller and I prefer the motion controls. But, I don't know. Like most fighting games, I just kind of got bored of it after a little bit. And it's weird, because like the reason I don't like most shooter games, other than not being very good at them, is, and the fact that a lot of them are in first person, which I hate. But, they also kind of get a little repetitive for me after a while. But with Splatoon, maybe because there are different modes, that one, I was able to, I was able to get really into it and keep playing it for, you know, until even now. Whereas with fighting games, usually I get bored after a little bit. Ah, I missed the shortcut. Dang it. This is off to a bad start. Yeah, have you gotten a little tired of it too, Greta? Because I know you were really into it for a while. Really? Usually I'm better at getting that shortcut. Well, I'm not in last anymore, so that's something, I guess. Ow. Boo. Well done, Greta. You've regained your honor. Yeah, you know, I'd go on Switch and would be like, Greta's playing ARMS. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of the problem with a lot of those types of games. It gets, like, there's a certain amount of repetition that's good, right? In practically any form of entertainment, a certain amount of repetition is ideal. That's why TV shows are often similar, like every episode's kind of the same format. With certain games, like rogue games, it's kind of the same thing. Splatoon, shooters, even this. It's the same courses over and over again. But it's got enough variety to keep it fresh. Even though you're kind of doing the same thing, it's not... There's a balance, you know? And I feel like a lot of fighting games don't have enough of the variety aspect. Yeah, for sure. There's definitely an amount of like strategy and whatnot as well. And I think with Mario Kart too, there's less with like strategy and such, but it has more variety in terms of the content. Just because, especially with like the DLC courses, there are like a lot of courses. And with like the items and everything. That definitely factors into it as well. And you know, the amount of carts and stuff like that factors into the variety of the strategy and everything. And I guess ARMS sort of had that with the different ARMS, but I didn't really play enough of it to unlock any other ARMS. Also, were there like new arms, or was it just a matter of unlocking arms that other characters had for whatever character you wanted? Ugh. Oh, hey, I'm in first place. Amazing. Let's see how long that lasts. Not very long. Oops. Link, why? Why did you not turn? Ah, that sucks. Uh-oh. No! Boo. Hey, Sans. Yeah, exactly. The items and the other people and whatnot. Not a huge fan of any of these courses. Oh well. Oh gee, Greta. Poor you. Always been first. So boring. I really feel sorry for you, Greta. Oh yeah, it's just getting what other characters have. That's what I thought when I was like looking at it. I mean, maybe they'll do updates where they add more? You'd think so. You'd think that they would do, kind of like with Splatoon, they do free updates where they add more weapons and gear and such. So you'd think with ARMS they'll do that with the ARMS and maybe some new characters. But I don't know. Like I said, I liked it more than most other fighting games I've tried, but that's not saying a lot. I hate Cheese Land. Too fast. Never make that first turn. No! Ah! Have a good night, Sans. No, they're adding a new character. Oh, are they adding that, Max, whatever? Yeah, the guy who's like, the guy you go against, at the end of the solo Grand Prix thing. He's just like Springman, but harder. Max Brass, yeah. Technically, he's not even a new character, right? He's just a character that was in it that you weren't able to play until now. Are they gonna make him, I'm assuming they're gonna make him less powerful, since that would not be very fair. Ah. Uh-oh. Oh! Crap. Man, a lot of people, everyone's getting mushrooms. Uh-oh. Bye, Greta! Uh-oh. Yeah, that was close. No! That sucks. Boo! Man. Keep doing, like, alright in the first half of the matches, and then everything goes to shit. Guess that's Mario Kart for you. Have you been playing any Breath of the Wild lately, Greta? Checking out the DLC or anything? Oh, you didn't get the new DLC? It's alright. I think the meat of the DLC is gonna be the second pack, which is kind of... Yeah, I get that. For sure, it seems like the second DLC is gonna be where the majority of the value is gonna go, which kinda sucks since you have to pay for both of them at the same time. Oh, you're an Inkling this time instead of Metal Peach, huh? But I'm enjoying the DLC. The Trial of the Sword is fun. I might stream some more of that later. And the new outfits are fun. I like running around with wearing Majora's Mask. I just got a Tingle's outfit, which is weird. But it does make characters give you a funny reaction, so that's fun. No! No! That was bad timing. But yeah, when you wear the Tingle outfit, if you go up to people, they do the animation where if you know, if you have like a bomb or something, when you're near somebody, they'll be on guard. But if you're wearing the Tingle outfit, they just automatically are on guard. Which, who can blame them, really? How are the Inklings surviving underwater right now? For shame, Nintendo. Messing with your own canon. Explain, Nintendo. Explain! It isn't too bad. I'm exactly half best. What else? I haven't tried hard mode. The little map feature they added is fun. It's pointless and useless, but kind of fun. Really, the most fun about it is you can, like, fast forward and watch your progress, and then if you come across a part where you died a lot, it's pretty funny. Because Link just does his little, the sound bit where you fall. So it'll be just going around on the map and then go, yeah! And then go back and like, yeah! Yeah! It's amusing. Am I too loud for you guys? I like kind of heard that through the headphones. I think something knocked into the mic, so one of the knobs got turned, and Clark's not here and he's the sound guy, so I'm not really sure if the settings are all right. Ah. P-Dog. Sup, P-Dog? I did not time that correctly. Ah! Bullet Bill to victory! Oh, my mushroom! Ah, blue shell. That sucks. One thing I'm surprised Nintendo hasn't done is add more, like, what's the word I'm looking for? More customization to Miis. I mean, I guess they're not using Miis as much as they used to, but even so, the Miis are so simple looking anyway, it'd be really easy to just make more, like, eyes and noses and mouths and hairstyles. And, as far as I can tell, they never did. They did add more Mii customization? I didn't notice. Like recently, or just kind of when the Wii and Wii U were going on? Because I feel like, again, because the cartoony style is so simplistic, it'd be really easy to just have like a million different facial features and options, and they don't. Oh, rude. I didn't mean to release that red shell. Oh well. Ah! Rude. Rude. Pushing me off. And once again, did good in the first half, and then it all went to shit. I love this game! Is it true that reality TV is scripted? So it depends on the show. There's some shows where if it's sort of like the Bad Girls Club or like Real World or really anything where it's just a sort of where it's a very loose concept of sort of just throwing a bunch of people in a house together or something like that, then it's not scripted. Then it's like they just let them loose, and they might maybe suggest things to the people, be like, oh, like, and I don't really know, I'm not a producer, but from what I do know, I think sometimes they might suggest things to people, like, oh, it might be cool if you, I don't know, try to get closer to this person or whatever. But for the most part, they just kind of let them do whatever they want. And that's why there's like 1 million hours of footage, because they just literally tape everything and hope something good happens that they can edit and put in the show. Which is kind of annoying as someone who works in it, because there's just so much footage. Whereas other shows are what's called soft scripted, where they don't have an actual script, but they do have sort of like they tell the cast like, oh, we're gonna go to your house and we're gonna film you guys just having a nice family meal together, and maybe you could talk about this such and such. And so it's not like they don't tell them explicitly what to do, but they do have a plan of what they want, like a very loose plan. And then there's some reality TV, like quote-unquote reality TV, where I think it is mostly scripted, but in that case it's more like cooking shows or something where it kind of by necessity has to have a script. So I hope that answers your question. It depends on the show. That said, reality TV is definitely not reality. Because the thing is, it's not scripted in that they write a script ahead of time that the cast follows, but it is scripted in that after it's been filmed, one of the interesting thing about reality TV versus scripted television for post-production kind of makes the story. The script is made after it's filmed, if that makes sense, which from an editor's point of view is kind of fun. It gives you more freedom than a scripted show where they, from the get-go, know what's going to happen for the most part. I mean, there's always changes, of course, but fourth isn't bad. What was I saying? Oh yeah, in scripted shows like, you know, TV dramas or comedies, sitcoms, etc., it's sort of, you know, all planned out from the script, and then it's filmed according to the script, and then it's edited according to the initial script. And there is creativity, and there is room for changes and everything, of course, and there often are. There's sort of a saying of like, a story in film gets rewritten. It's written 3 times. It's written with the initial script, and then the story's rewritten again when it's filmed, and then it's rewritten again when it's in post-production. And oftentimes, if you like look at the original script and then look at the final results, they're fairly different. But with reality TV, there often isn't a script, or there's just a very, very loose guideline of a script. And then they sort of just see what happens in production. And then when it gets to post-production, that's when the story team looks at what has happened in production, and they sort of have to pick and choose moments that were shot that they think are interesting, and then they have to edit it into a way that makes coherent sense in terms of story. And that's really where the meat of the quote-unquote writing happens, is in post-production. Because, again, when you go into filming, you don't really know what you're going to get. And a big part of this, what the story team does, is they look at what they have, they look at, like, oh, there's some interesting stuff happened here and here, but how do we put them together in a way that makes narrative sense? Because, so they might take, and this is where, like, it's not really reality, because they might take two things that are interesting, but entirely unrelated, and then edit them in a way that makes them seem related. Which, like, it's kind of interesting. To be honest, I don't watch a lot of reality TV, either. The only shows I've really seen are competition shows, like America's Got Talent, or, can I make it? Yeah. Or, like, I used to watch American Idol, or, America's Next Top Model, all the Americas stuff. And occasionally, like, cooking shows or cooking competition shows, because who doesn't like watching good food? But to be honest, my job doesn't really require me to watch a lot of our own shows, so I can't really claim to be super knowledgeable. I just sort of know the general process and where it involves me. But two of the shows that we do that are pretty good are the Bill Nye Netflix show. That one is scripted. That one, they very much come up with it ahead of time. And it's still technically, it's like educational, but it's also technically reality. Whereas another show we do, Born This Way, which is a really good, it's more of a documentary style, and it follows a group of young adults with Down syndrome, and sort of showcases their lives, and it's really sweet. That one, I don't know for sure, but I want to say it's probably either not scripted or soft scripted. If I had to guess, I would say soft scripted, so they probably plan out generally what they want to film, but for the most part they sort of just let the cast do their thing. Which one did you just get into, Greta? Yeah, I also can't say too much because of confidentiality, like I'm trying to not say too many specific things. So, shh. Ribbon Road. RuPaul's Drag Race? That's cool. I haven't seen that. Going back to what we were talking about earlier, though. Yeah, see, if they added character customization, I guess, but it wasn't enough that I really noticed a whole lot. Like, I feel like I probably noticed with the Wii U, but I didn't with the Switch. And again, I feel like because the style is so simplistic, they could have like a million different choices, and it feels like they don't. But I don't know, maybe that's just me. Yeah, that's true. It probably doesn't help that they don't really use the Miis too much anymore. I feel like the only time I've really seen Miis recently are in games like this where they're more of a remake. Then again, there haven't really been too many new games. Of course, they are coming up with that, oh, that wasn't what I meant to do, but oh well. They're making that, weird cross between Tomodachi Life as an RPG or whatever. In that one, you do Miis. Oh, Link! He did it again! Why? I swear I was tilting the stick left. Never even noticed that shortcut before. Ow. Yeah, Miitopia. True, it's a 3DS game. I'm just saying, like, that's the only one I can think of that is, like, a game that's coming out that has to do with Miis. This one. Sugar Rush. But it's not surprising. I mean, also, again, going back to the simplistic art style of the Miis, it's kind of weird if they keep doing them now that they've gone full HD. Like, they look fine here, but it would feel a bit weird if they did a full-fledged game on the Switch where you play it as Miis. I'm wondering, with the Zelda DLC, with the, Ballad of the... what is it? Ballad of the Champions? Or something like that? Song of the Champions? I don't remember. But from the promotional stuff, it looks like it's... like, my guess is it looks like it's, gonna be about when Zelda first met all the champions. So I'm excited for that. That sounds fun. Ow. Great. Yeah, I don't think they're really gonna do anything big with Misa again. I feel like it's kind of, it's had it's kind of overstayed its welcome. They were fun at the time, but, I think everyone's moved on, including Nintendo. Ah, missed it again. And I've been consistently getting like middle place. Mostly anyway. What do I think about streaming on Twitch in general? I like it a lot. I think it's fun. Do you mean something more specific? Like on Twitch specifically? Because I've never streamed on a different platform. Or do you just mean streaming in general? On Twitch? Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't really have anything to compare it to. I haven't streamed on YouTube or any other platforms. But it's pretty simple once you get OBS set up and everything. And it's a lot of fun. When Clark and I first started streaming, or at least I, had never done so before. So I didn't know if I would like it or if I'd be like really boring. Which I'm hoping I haven't. But I think as time has gone by, we've learned more about it, and I think we've been consistently improving, hopefully. Like I look back at some of our older stuff, and I think we've gotten better. And I hope to keep improving. It's a lot of fun. It's, you know, like any hobby, really. And hopefully, as time goes on, we'll gain more followers, and maybe, it'll become less of a hobby and more of an actual business career. But, you never know. Hey, Greta. Pushing me off to the side. Here's what I think of that. Didn't do anything. Coin. But yeah, I like streaming a lot. Oh, crap. We're hoping to do more streaming, like, more involved. I don't really want to give spoilers, but we do have a few things in the works for upcoming playthroughs that I think will be a lot of fun. Uh-oh. Ah, dang it. Didn't get a thing. Hey, I finally got a good place. Hooray! I think it definitely helps that we're co-hosts. I feel like if I started streaming by myself initially, I might not have liked it as much. It's definitely more difficult to try to be fun to watch when you're just by yourself. It definitely helps when there's people in the chat. Like, me talking to you feels natural to an extent, especially after a lot of practice. But there are times when I'm streaming by myself and no one has shown up yet, and like the chat's empty, and I don't know what to say, because I always feel a little silly when I'm just like talking out loud and I know there's no one watching or listening. And I know like we put everything on YouTube, so people will eventually probably watch it. So I still try to be entertaining even when there's no one like live watching, but it is more difficult. Whereas when it's Clark and I both streaming at the same time, even if there's no one in the chat, we can talk to each other, so that definitely makes it easier. I think the main thing to get used to is talking while playing, because there's definitely, you know, you have to divide your attention between playing and talking to the chat, or just talking out loud, or trying to be fun to watch. And like, when I play like this or Splatoon just by myself on my own, it's, you know, I'm a little better, which is to be expected because I can just focus on the game. Whereas with streaming, like right now, I'm like half of my focus is on the game and half my focus is talking about this, which makes both worse. Like if I was just, when Clark is playing and I'm just talking, I'm probably a lot more coherent. Whereas like right now, I'm trying to concentrate on this and explaining this, which probably does not sound very coherent. So, to all watching, hopefully you'll forgive me for that. But that's also another thing that gets better with time. Again, when we first started out, it was a lot harder to divide your attention between the game and streaming. And I think we've steadily improved with that. And it also does help that we sort of divide our playthroughs. Like, usually he'll be playing half of the games and I'll be playing the other half. And we also switch off with Splatoon. Although with Splatoon, we kind of just split POVs, but we're both still playing and talking, so that one's a little harder. Oop. One of the reasons we like don't play Binding of Isaac, even though we both really like that game, is that's the sort of game where you have to give a lot of concentration. So the one time we did try to stream it, we like barely talked at all, which isn't great for content. So yeah, it's a bit of a challenge to try to be entertaining and good at video games. Because like, you know, there are different types of streamers, right? There are streamers who are like super MLG pro, really skilled at what they do, and they usually play a specific thing, like speedrunners, or they're, you know, there's this German streamer I really like watching. His name is Holly LP, and he does other games too, but he mostly, I think, does Binding of Isaac. And, you know, if you have a specific thing that you're good at, a lot of people will watch even if you aren't necessarily charismatic, which I'm not saying they aren't. But I've definitely seen, like, speedrunners who are super good at what they do, but aren't great at conversation, I guess. Which is also, that's gotta be challenging, because if you play the same game constantly, what new are you gonna say about it, you know? It gets to a point where you just are concentrating on what you're doing. But that's fun to watch because they're good at it. And then you have streamers who you watch for their personality, which I think we fit more into that category. And hopefully our personalities are worth watching. We strive to be so anyway. But yeah, usually they should be decent at video games, but it's more about watching them for what they're saying and maybe how they play the video games. For instance, my favorite streamers are Video Games Awesome, FFSTV. They're really fun. One of their shticks used to be that they cosplayed while they played games, which was fun. They don't really do that anymore, unfortunately. But I like watching them because they're fun to watch. They say good things, funny stuff. They have interesting perspectives on the games, and they're just fun people to watch. And Fraser is usually the one who plays. It's him and his girlfriend Becky. And he's like not the best at video games, but he's pretty good. It depends on the game. But again, I watch them more for their personalities than their skills. And they do a lot of funny stuff in the games, like he'll have a tendency to, I don't know, do something silly as Link, and that's fun. And then of course there are streamers who are kind of a little bit of both, who are super good at their game and also have charisma and are fun to watch. But you know, I feel like, again, we sort of fit more into the category of you watch us for our personalities. We do our best to try to have banter and witty commentary. Doesn't always work, but sometimes does. Uh. Anyway. And once again, I think it does help that there are two of us. No! Okay, phew. That was close at the end there. Thanks, Greta. I try my best. Like I said, it is harder when Clark's not here, because at least then, if I'm like concentrating really hard at a particular moment, he can sort of pick up the slack, I guess, and talk about whatever we're talking about. And I mean, you don't have to constantly be talking. Like, some people are sort of more stream of consciousness and sort of rambly, which isn't, I mean, I guess it depends on what you like to watch. Personally, I'm not as into that. Like, when I watch VGA, sometimes there are moments where neither of them are talking, they're just sort of concentrating on the game. And I don't mind. I don't think people really mind when there are lapses in the conversation, and because then you also are watching the game. But also, you do need to have conversation a moderate amount, because if it's mostly playing and no one's really talking, then you might as well be watching a walkthrough, you know? Like, I've definitely been on Twitch looking for channels to watch, and I'll go on to one, and like, there's no face cam, and they're just playing the game, and they're not necessarily that great at it, and they're not talking or anything, so I'm just like, bye. But yeah, it's definitely easier when there's someone to talk to. Which is why I appreciate that you're often present, Greta. You definitely help out a lot. I greatly appreciate all that you do for us. Ah! No, it happened again! I was pressing left! Maybe it's the controller? I know the left's Joy-Con sometimes is finicky. But I feel like it's usually more just a delayed thing. But I don't know. It's happened like 3 times tonight. Ah! Rude. But yeah, I feel like over the last year, which is about how long our channel's been going, we've slowly come to like realize things and make improvements. For instance, we didn't used to have a face cam, or we only had face cam occasionally when it was like a special occasion, like a cosplay through or something. Whereas, as you know, we now usually almost always have face cam. The only times we don't are for shows where we never did to start with, like Splatoon. Though we might start doing it for Splatoon 2, I don't know. We'll have to talk about that. Ah! Man, didn't get an item. Boo. Ah! Really? Yeah, I think the quality of our stream has sort of steadily increased over time, which is nice. Especially since I'm like in the film industry, so stuff like that I'm very nitpicky about. I'm sort of the one in charge, unofficially in charge of our YouTube channel. I'm usually the one who like posts stuff and writes all the titles and everything. And so sometimes like Clark will do one and he won't do it exactly like how I usually do it. Like I have sort of a system where I write how I write the episode titles and the parts and everything. And sometimes he'll do something that's just slightly off and I'll get a little annoyed and I'll go in and change it. I guess I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to stuff like that. Also, I don't think he likes doing that sort of thing anyway. For me, I don't mind, because it's a little similar to what I do in my job anyway. We used to leave sort of a head and a tail at the beginning and end of our, I guess, clips. So we would like press record and then we'd wait a few seconds and then we'd start, and then at the end we would wait a few seconds before we stopped recording. And then we'd go into YouTube and we'd trim it. And that was mainly just to give us a little bit of excuse me. I need to take a drink. That was mainly to give us a little bit of leeway for if we needed like editing or something, which was partly just from my experience in film. But as we went on, we realized that it didn't really do a whole lot. We didn't really need it, so we don't do that anymore. But I think Clark got a little annoyed having to, when he had to trim stuff. Like, usually I would trim it, and I didn't mind that because, again, that was similar to what I do as an editor. But I think it is a bit tedious if you're not really into that sort of thing, I guess. It can be a bit tedious and annoying, so I don't think he liked doing it, so that was another reason why I was more in charge of the YouTube. It's sort of my joke that he's in charge of pre-production and I'm in charge of post-production, because Clark usually handles most of the setup and the audio and the capture card and everything, and then I do more of the posting it to YouTube and any edits or anything that needs to be fixed afterwards. And then we both do production. So it works out. And that's another reason why I'm glad we're co-hosts instead of just one of us doing it by ourselves. That helps share the workload. But that said, we also do have shows that we do by ourselves, like I do this one, even though Clark does occasionally join in. But then he also does Pokemon and such occasionally, which is good because, you know, sometimes, like right now, Clark's out of town, so we don't want our channel to be dead while one of us is gone. So it's definitely good to also have a certain amount of autonomy, I guess. Being able to do it on your own if you need to. Hey, C. Dewey. Hello, Beauty546? It's a little hard to see your writing. It's like a very light green. But, welcome. Unfortunately, I did not get to level 15 last night. I think I got to level 11. I might try again sometime this week, though. Yeah. I think 11 was as far as I got. But, maybe on Wednesday or Thursday, I'll try it, give it another shot. I actually did better than I thought I did, last night. Or I thought I would, rather. I'm getting tired. Oh yeah, the first stream you watched was Wind Waker? Nice. I thought the first stream you watched was, Witcher, Greta. But yeah, we've definitely steadily made changes and improvements. We're talking about the DLC Trial of the Sword in Breath of the Wild. There are like 45 levels or something crazy like that. My goal last night was to try to get the beginner levels done, which is 15 levels. Unfortunately, I only got to 11. But I'll probably... oh, I need to concentrate. I'll give it another shot. Not many people got their speed boost at the beginning there. To be honest, I don't know if I'll ever, like, complete that. It seems super hard. Like, even the beginner levels are kind of difficult. I'm sure, like, if I dedicated hours and hours to it, I'd probably be able to do it. But I don't know if I want to do that necessarily. Like, I have other games that I gotta play. And I've already dedicated well over 100 hours to Breath of the Wild. Simply because I love it. And the reward's, like, good, but it's not that good. Simply because, like, the reward is, you know, your Master Sword is a power level of 30 unless you're in, like, Hyrule Castle or one of the Divine Beasts. And it has the cooldown. And if you complete the Trial of the Sword, it'll be always 60 and it never has a cooldown. Which is really cool, but also makes you very OP. Like, why would you even need any other weapon after that? And part of the challenge of Breath of the Wild is trying to, like, get better weapons and such. And, like, once you're kind of late in the game, once you already have, once you have good armor and a lot of hearts and stamina, you're kind of already a little OP. Like, most enemies don't really challenge you at that point. So having the Master Sword on top of that be super high leveled seems a little overkill, I guess. So I don't know if I really want to dedicate hours on end to doing that, just for that, I guess. Ah! Oh. Turned out better than I thought it would. Yeah, it does seem like that, C. Dewey. I mean, and then they also introduced hard mode, which I'm sure those people will enjoy. Which I'm also not really sure I want to do. Because, like, I think Breath of the Wild, while it's not hard, but it's got a decent amount of challenge to it, and I haven't tried the hard mode, but I feel like it's a little maybe too much, because that's not really why I play the game. I don't play it to necessarily test my skills so much as to just have fun with it, I guess, if that makes sense. Breath of the Wild's a very, like, it can be relaxing, you can just be out in the fields, roaming around, and then it can also be challenging when you're fighting enemies or doing trials or, you know, the shrines or the divine beasts. And it's got a good balance, and I feel like hard mode, if what you want is more challenge, then that's great, but that's not really what I'm looking for in the game. So I don't know if I'm gonna... I mean, I might try hard mode to just see how it is, but it's not really something I'm super, like, oh, excited, you know? Ah. I'm excited for the second DLC, though. That looks... Oh, crap! Keep missing the items. That looks like it'll be good. New story mode. Or, not mode, but you know what I mean. Quest, whatever. I mean, not that the story in Breath of the Wild is great to begin with, but that said, I'm hoping that the DLC will give us a little more story that is better, I guess. Like, from what I can tell, it looks like it's gonna be following Zelda and Link when they first met the champions, so that might be fun. Oop. If nothing else, there'll be more Urbosa, so that's always a plus. I already pre-ordered my Urbosa... Oops. I don't have... I already pre-ordered my Urbosa amiibo. I'm still debating if I want to try to get the other ones. Like, I like Mipha's design, but her character is a little boring. Rivali's kind of a piece of shit. And I like Daruk, but less so his design, I guess. The next DLC is gonna be like in December, so not till the end of the year. Yeah, I can see why people like Mipha. I personally thought she was a little bland, and it didn't help that her voice in both the Japanese and the English version was not very good. Like, it's better in the Japanese version, but it's still a little... It's just very, like... frail, I guess? And it's kind of annoying. Like, people don't really talk like that, unless it's just bad voice acting, like bad anime voice acting. So I'm sure that didn't really help. And then, as personality-wise, I mean, to be fair, we didn't really see much of her, so you can't judge too hard. But what we did see of her seemed a little bland for me. Yeah, Daruk is a little boring too. He's sort of just typical Goron. Well, maybe in the DLC we'll see that Link had to convince him to be a champion by having a dance party or something, a la Darunia. That would make him a much better character. I kind of wish in the DLC you got to play as Zelda though, because I'm pretty sure Nintendo has already confirmed that you do play as Link still, even though Zelda's still like gonna be present in the DLC. Because again, like from what I could tell, I don't know if they've confirmed this, but it looks like it's gonna be the story of how they convinced the other champions to become champions, like how they met all of them. So Zelda's obviously gonna it's gonna take place 100 years ago, so Zelda will be in it, which is nice, to actually be able to interact with her instead of just see her through flashbacks. But I kind of wish they, I kind of wish they did a little thing kind of like in The Last of Us, when you get to play as Ellie for one part. Spoiler alert for a game that's been out for years. So I doubt that would happen because the DLC story is probably not going to be that long. But it would be neat if there was a segment in it where you switch over to play as Zelda. Like in Witcher, with Ciri. Although those were all flashbacks. Man, that's what they should have done for all those memories you unlock. Instead of just a cutscene, it should have given you, like, a little gameplay where you get to be Zelda in those, memories. That would have been fun. Yeah, I can see. We've been going for a couple hours, so I'm probably just gonna play one more match tonight. Was there anything else you guys wanted to talk about before we end for the night? Ooh, Hyrule Circuit. Also, I'm out of tea. I made this super good Moroccan mint iced tea. It's really refreshing. Also, I got a promotion at work, which is awesome, but it put me on a new work schedule. Right now I'm in training, so this week I'm working 12 to 9, so all this week streams are going to be pretty late at night. But then once I get out of training, which will either be next week or the week after that, I'm going to have night shifts, which means streams are going to be more like in the early afternoon. Just to give you guys a heads up. Thankfully it's summer vacation, so you guys hopefully will be able to watch still. And then I'm hoping by the time school starts up again, maybe I'll get back onto an earlier shift. And if not, then I'll just have to stream in the mornings and early afternoons, and then Clark can occasionally stream at night solo. What's my guilty pleasure anime? I don't know. I mean, I like to think that I have decent taste in anime. So if there's like a bad anime, I usually don't watch it. I guess maybe if you are going to be less specific and branch out into manga, I do have a tendency to like bad yaoi. Like, not really bad. Again, my standards are fairly high, so if it's like got really bad art or a shitty story or something, I still don't read it or watch it. But, I was too indecisive about that shortcut. But there are definitely, like, some, I guess they're not bad in that they're, like, badly written so much as their content is kind of fucked up, I guess. For instance, I like, there's this Korean manhwa that's pretty popular right now called Killing Stalking. It's pretty good. The artwork is very nice, and it's a very interesting story. But it's about, like, this one guy, he's obviously got some mental illness problems, and he's stalking this other guy. And this isn't a spoiler because it happens in, like, the first chapter. He breaks into the guy's house and is, like, being a really creepy stalker guy. And then he, like, hears a noise from the basement, and he goes down there, and he finds this girl that's, like, been tied up and beaten and shit. And the guy comes home, and it turns out that the guy he was stalking was a serial killer. And it's, like, really, it's a really fucked up story. But it's very well written. And it's got an interesting... because it's not Stockholm Syndrome, it's like the opposite of it. I don't remember what it's called, like Lima or something. But it's where the captor starts sympathizing with the victim instead of the other way around. So psychologically, it's pretty interesting. Now I'm into this conversation, so I'll play one more. But I guess I have a weakness for yaoi that has kind of a fucked up relationship that in real life would be like, call the police. But you know, it's fiction, so it's not that bad. Yeah, I think it's called Lima Syndrome. Another one's called like Cast Haven, something like that. It's a manga where it takes place in this high school where they have this really fucked up game that they play, where every now and then a deck of cards gets like scattered throughout the school, and depending on what card you get, that depicts what role you have to play. So if you get a certain card that says, oh, you're the king, then suddenly you're the most popular kid in school, or in the class, and everyone has to do what you say. Whereas if you get a card that says, you're the emo now, you have to act like the emo. And it's really fucked up. But everyone abides by the rules, because if you don't, you get punished or something. And in that one, the main character was the king initially, but then the game gets reset, and his best friend like betrays him, and he becomes the new king, and the main character becomes like the target, which is like the lowest on the totem pole. And there are like other pairings in the series as well, and all of them, even the ones that at first, like, there are pairings where at first you're like, oh, finally a normal pairing that seems like it might be a healthy relationship, and then you find out, no, the guy was like yandere or something. Never mind. So I guess that sort of thing is my guilty pleasure. Ah! Bananas. I didn't even get an item. Boo. I would say that I was just thinking to myself that I also like Yuri, but it doesn't tend to have nearly as much like fucked up relationships in Yuri as there are in yaoi. A lot of Yuri is like, to be honest, the most fucked up stuff about a lot of Yuri is that there seems to be this thing with sisters. I don't know why. I mean, I know we talked about this on another stream at some point about how anime and maybe Japan and video games in Japan seem to have this like brother and sister complex thing where they think it's cute that a character who's either literally or for all intents and purposes more like your sibling is like your love interest, and it's weird, and that seems very prevalent. Really? It's like 4 things in a row. It seems fairly prevalent in Yuri. There are a lot of them where it's like, oh, this is my stepsister now, and I fell in love with her before she became my stepsister, but that doesn't change the fact that she is, and it's a little squicky. Yeah, that's true, Greta. I tried Elden Noah Zero once. I didn't super get into it. I'm not as into mecha. The only mecha I've really watched are Neon Genesis Evangelion, which is a classic, and Code Geass, which isn't mecha so much as it is like political action drama with mecha in it. The mecha aren't really that important. But it's another really good series. I don't know why I picked this up. I know it's empty. Man, see Dewey, now you got me talking about anime. I was gonna end the stream, but now I'm distracted by this. Thanks. Thanks a lot. I guess it wouldn't be Mario Kart without rambling on about anime. Yeah, Code Geass is really good. I'm trying to get Clark to watch it. I showed him like the first episode and he didn't super love it, but I'm like, gotta watch more than just the first episode. Like, the second episode is where you get a big, like, plot twist that kind of hooks you. The only problem with Code Geass is it's got a lot of fan service that is very unnecessary and kind of distracts from it. Like, it would be a work of art if it weren't for that. And, like, the art style is a little weird because it's Clamp and they have their weird proportioned noodle people. But, story-wise and character-wise, it's really good. It is pretty Shakespearean, that's true. And it's got, like, some of the best plot twists. I know when I watched it when it first came out, and I remember, especially in Season 2, there was, like, it felt like there was a plot twist every episode that was just blow your mind. It also did a really good job of, like, having characters that either I didn't care about or I hated, and then in, like, one episode, have them do something that redeemed them in my eyes and made me think, oh, okay, you're actually a good character. And then kills them. It happened at least twice. And I was like, why would you do that to me? Like, if they died 2 episodes ago, I wouldn't have cared. But now I care. It's a really good series. If you haven't watched Code Geass, you should watch it. Yeah, Clamp, like, a weird thing about Code Geass was it didn't have a manga initially that it was based on. It just started as an anime, but that said, Clamp was in charge of the designs, and they're known for, like, Triple X Holic, and Tsubasa, and Chobits, and they're very well known, especially in manga, for their weird proportioned noodle people. And Code Geass, I think because it was an anime, wasn't quite as bad as some of the other ones. I know Triple X Holic especially bothered me a lot. Also, Code Geass has this weird thing with promotion, because they were like one of the first anime that had, that was able to be sponsored in the show. So they were sponsored by Pizza Hut, and it's kind of weird because like one of the characters, C2, is constantly eating pizza, and she also carries around this plushie that is apparently the mascot for Pizza Hut in Japan. I think its name was Cheese-kun. And yeah, it was a little out of place. And they had a lot of fan service, I guess because it's Clamp again. And that especially got bad in the second season. Like, the show is good enough that you can kind of overlook it, you can forgive it. It's like, but there are definitely parts of it that were like so unnecessary. It's like, you're such a good series, why you don't need this pandering. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Okay, last one. And it's Rainbow Road, so I'm probably gonna do terribly. Yeah, she was always eating pizza. But yeah, it just kind of felt like, I mean, fan service is pretty cheap anyway, but it almost felt like it cheapened it more than usual because it's such a good show. It's like, you really didn't need the fan service. I can understand for certain shows where it's like there's not a whole lot of substance there to begin with. Fan service helps with, you know, getting people to watch. But Code Geass, again, didn't need it. It would have been just as popular without it, probably. I'm following you, Greta. It panned out. Yeah, so it felt like it was, you know, just not good. But apart from that, it's an excellent show. And again, it's good enough that you can... I got distracted trying to get them. It's good enough that you can forgive the fan service. Even when it gets ridiculous and they're like, oh, dang it, in the second season. Ah, no! Ah, I missed it. Bullet bill, please. It's not a bullet bill. Ah! Pushing me off. Rude. My indecision again. I didn't know which way I wanted to go. It cost me. Oops. Well. Wow. The last second, huh? Yeah, I get that. I feel like if the artwork is mediocre, I'll still watch it if it has really good characters and story. But if the artwork is just terrible, I probably won't. Like, I can't. Yeah, that is a pretty terrible ending. Hey, I've got a new vehicle customization. Okay, guys. Thanks for joining me tonight. We can talk more about anime next time. And And have a good night, everybody. I'll see you. Bye.